Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane.
Prabhupada grew up in Calcutta, and in his childhood London was the most powerful city in the world. It was the centre of empire. So although during his sort of 30s he decided, when he was contemplating coming to the West, that it was actually better to go to America because that was the current influential place, and of course he had certain experiences with the British Empire, negative experiences as part of Gandhi's movement and so on. But in his heart, he told us once, I remember in a class, he said that, when I was a little boy, I used to dream of coming to London. So when Prabhupada finally came to London, which was, of course, it was in '69, it was a thrill for him. And I remember in 1972 when we had the Rath Yatra in Trafalgar Square, that was a big moment for Prabhupada. It was a really big moment. So yeah, he thought London was perhaps the most influential city in the world. I think he still felt that.
Srila Prabhupada wanted something substantial in London, and I think that that's pretty clear. Specifics, there are many different specifics that we could get into, but I think the essence is that he wanted something prominent and something very big where many people could come and experience Vedic culture.
One of the first morning walks that we went with Prabhupada in 1969, we'd go with Gurudas and Shyam Sundar and about maybe 10 or 15 other devotees, and I also was accompanying them, and we walked down towards Shaftesbury Theatre, Shaftesbury Avenue, just past Covent Garden. And there was a big red brick building that was used as the YMCA headquarters. But that building had been abandoned because they were moving to Great Russell Street, where they have a more modern building, YMCA building, closer to Tottenham Court Road, but on Great Russell Street. So that building was enormous, at least in our eyes, compared to Bury Place. It was at least 10 times the size of Bury Place. And so Prabhupada was always thinking big, and he understood already, although we are hardly established. This is just after the deities were installed in December 1969. And he wanted Gurudas to find out the details, and he wanted to actually see inside the building. So Gurudas found that information. He found that it was for sale for £50,000, which was a really big amount of money in 1969. But of course today, it's you can say the price of an expensive motor car. Certainly you can't buy a property for £50,000 these days. So and Gurudas also got the keys, and Prabhupada looked inside and he said yes. He said we should move here immediately. But of course that didn't happen because we didn't have the money. Or I suppose we didn't have the faith either at that time.
We see there's many wonderful temples of Krishna coming up throughout the world, You know, so it's not an unachievable thing. It's something which is definitely achievable. So in one sense, it's like a wonderful service we could offer to Sri Sri Radha Londonisvara and to Srila Prabhupada and to ISKCON. So it's a wonderful opportunity to do something big, to do something grand for Prabhupada, to do something significant for the preaching of Krishna consciousness here in the West.
And as far as Radha Londonisvara is concerned, he always, like I said, he was thinking big. He was always thinking outside of the box. He wanted beautiful, opulent facilities for Radha Londonisvara. And he was very fond of those deities, extremely fond.
Prabhupada did give me quite detailed instructions about how to design a temple. One of the things I particularly remember him going into some detail with me, actually, he explained that the deities should be not sort of exposed too much. You know, they would be through an arch and, you know, not necessarily easy for everyone to see. Yeah. Kind of an intimate, we're talking about Radha and Krishna, so sort of a certain intimacy. However, having said that, you know, when we had the Bury Place temple, which was a very tiny temple, not in the least Vedic, by the way, in the design, but beautiful, Prabhupada wanted the facility so that people could come in off the street and see the deities without having to take off their shoes. You know, he wanted an area, sort of some kind of balustrade at the back, a little fence or something, so they could come in wearing their shoes and see Krishna. So he did want people to see Krishna, but he didn't particularly ever speak about, yeah, kind of mass darshan, not in London. Yeah.
The writing's on the wall, the prophecy is there, Prabhupada wanted it, and it's something that should happen and will happen. It's just when. So for me personally, it's something I'd love to be part of seeing happen. So it's an opportunity to do some nice service and to be part of something substantial, because it's just, we all want to be used in this mission. So for me, it'd be a wonderful opportunity to be able to be part of, you know, seeing something like that happen and manifest, and really making a substantial mark in the middle of Maya's kingdom.
Prabhupada was determined that we should establish 10 temples in London. And he asked me, he said, where do our best customers live? Of course, in those days our best customers were hippies. And so I said, well, I know there's a lot of young people live at that time in Notting Hill and Ladbroke Grove, in that area, general area. So Prabhupada instructed me, he said you should look to see what buildings are available, an old church or some hall, community hall or whatever.
In terms of how Prabhupada conceived the temple would appear, all my memories were in London converting churches and significant major existing buildings. When we got the manor, almost immediately Prabhupada wanted us to plan to build a temple in the manor grounds, and he had me, you know, work on those designs. I don't recall Prabhupada ever expressing a preference for new build. It was always, you know, finding a large building and making good use of it. Yeah.
Actually, we have overgrown the space which we have now, and it is very much inadequate to actually properly serve the community. So in that sense, it's important for our growing community, many of whom perhaps won't even come to festivals because it's too busy.
As part of the process for looking for a centre, we looked at Burberry House, an iconic building of approximately 30,000 square feet that was for sale on Lower Regent Street. We estimate the cost of establishing a new centre in such a building will be around £40 million, including a change of use. But with a much bigger centre, we can now focus on a number of new activities. In line with our philosophy, we wish to contribute to the wider community with new jobs, art and culture. This will make the centre an international attraction, bringing revenue into London, and at the same time showcasing the unique food, music and artistic exhibitions from the Vedic culture. With an enlarged kitchen area, we can focus on building up a wholesome and healthy food distribution service, with a restaurant, a cafe, and external catering facilities for banquets and festive functions. Making sure we attract more local and international visitors to the centre will be one of the key financial requirements of ensuring that we have an increased number of income streams to support the financial expenses incurred with a bigger building. We aim to provide a number of income-producing activities, adding value to the wider community and enriching them at the same time. For example, with an enlarged ground floor space, we can create a permanent art exhibition installation that can act as a premium London tourist attraction. This will be in addition to a new, larger temple room. Having an in-house education centre for arts, music and poetry, and by setting up an Ayurvedic centre, we will be creating jobs in the local community. By creating a purpose-built training facility, we can be an established educational institution within an oasis of tranquility in central London. Adding to the attractiveness of London in the visual arts, a full-time theatre production will bring a new dimension to our outreach programmes and create additional income streams to help us with the upkeep of the temple. Meeting the daily needs of nutrition and well-being, yoga studios, and a fully provisioned store stocking items for cooking that are from holistic and sustainable sources.
Ideally, we would like to build a purpose-built complex for their lordships and to facilitate the needs of the community. But we realise that in the case that this is not possible, we are remaining open to the prospect of acquiring a larger existing, architecturally significant building in central London. Our in-house design team has put together a concept to represent what a future complex that caters for our needs could look like. This has also been used to begin a comprehensive study of what the needs of a new temple actually are. That way, even if an existing property is considered for adaptation, we will be sure that we will not be compromising on the real purpose of having a new site. The vision for establishing a prominent centre of Vedic learning in London is to be a symbol of India's enriched spiritual culture deeply connected with British heritage. Ideally, the authentic Vedic architecture will be inspired by the architecture of three prominent pilgrimage places, namely Vrindavan, the home of Lord Krishna, Mayapur, the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who founded the congregational chanting of the holy names 500 years ago, and Jagannath Puri, where the festival of chariots known as Rath Yatra originates from. This will be complemented with contemporary features that will connect to the architecture of today and the future, complementing the grandeur of the London skyline. In turning this vision into reality, we aim to bring the glory of Vedic India to the heart of London.
Currently, as at November 2014, we have formulated a strategic team for the long-term direction of the project, with a number of sub-teams to carry out the tasks. This is headed by Murali Manoharadas, who is a member of the Temple Leadership Council, and the team meets every 2 weeks. Progress has been very strong, and we have clearly identified our needs and discussed how we can meet them. We need to build up our team, and we are looking for new members to join us. The only criteria is a willingness to contribute, and if you have any experience in project management, communications, financial modelling, property or architectural design, please do get in touch with us. In our team we have Anantacharya Dasa. With his professional background in interior design and project management, he will be well suited to guide us in the strategic planning process from concept to completion. Bhakta Rakesh Shah has a financial background, and he will work on the financial modelling. Bhakti Natasha Menon will oversee the communications aspects, both internally and externally. Devaki Devidasi has successfully organised and supported project teams and will oversee the project collaboration and updates. And Jay Nitai Das has been instrumental in guiding us in the vision of the project. overseeing all of the activities. Over the next year, we will look at various sites in central London and begin the process of assessing suitability of each site and discuss the advantages and practicality of each one. By the middle of next year, we hope to have a fully documented plan with some design documents where we can visually describe our ideas and plans. The plans will look at both a conversion of an existing building and the possibility of a purpose-built venue for the centre. The Burberry building on Lower Regent Street was viewed in February 2014, and other buildings have been visited, but none have been suitable so far. We will work with our community, and if you know of any potential land spaces or buildings that may be suitable for us to look at, please let us know. In each case, we will pay close attention to the long-term sustainability and make sure we have the room we need for expansion as we grow. In the upcoming year, we look forward to updating you on our progress. And please contact us at the website www.iskonlondon.org.
The numbers of people in our community who would love to live near the temple and be a part and actively participate in the temple activities is phenomenal, but it's so expensive to live in London. So if we had a place where we could facilitate that, the Brahmachari and Brahmacharini ashrams, the Pujari department is cramped. I mean, pretty much every square inch of this temple now is being utilized to its full potential, and it's just not enough. So it's obvious that we need something larger. And the next step can't be something just a little bit bigger. It has to actually be significant. Otherwise, what would be the point of moving the deities? Often the thing that's brought up is about money. And somehow I've never really felt that it's ever been about money. Because, as Prabhupada used to say all the time, Krishna, he is not a poor man. So Krishna can manifest whatever he likes, whenever he likes. But I think their lordships have really been waiting for proper community to develop, and for there to be the infrastructure and the numbers of devotees who are competent, capable, and inspired to take responsibility in so many different ways to actually support and maintain the temple. So the idea is to be able to cooperate together and to build a community whose real focus is their lordship, Sri Sri Radha Londonisvara, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, Shri Shri Gauranitai, and Giri Govardhan, and to just really try to offer something substantial to them, and that's their heart's desire. And then if everyone's there and they really want this to happen and they're ready and prepared to cooperate in order to fulfill this desire of Srila Prabhupada and serve their lordships in this way, then I think that the project will manifest.
You know, I'm really happy to see the younger generation getting creative, getting imaginative, getting, adventurous, and trying to really express their feelings for Krishna. I don't think it's the prerogative of, the older generation. This is a challenge to be passed on down the generations. We're now in a position which we couldn't have dreamt of, 40 years or 30 years ago, or 35, whenever Prabhupada left. We could not have dreamt. We couldn't even afford to feed ourselves. And now, which Prabhupada kind of foresaw, we have this wonderful congregation who have the resources to all together, as a group, we can do so much more. So I really look to the next generations, succeeding generations, to have the freedom to express themselves and not to feel actually sort of bound by ideas that may have been current 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. I like to see people living in the present and allowing themselves to be inspired by Krishna. Krishna can inspire anyone.